Baby Beard Media. Shut up and take my podcast.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Shut up and take my podcast. Shut up and take my podcast.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Stereotypes. I am the foreigner. My customs are different. Upwards inflections. Australian.
Your beer belly is so big, your door doesn't even close, and that doesn't even make sense.
That sentence ends well with, I got advice from Nixon.
We're a G-rated.
This is a problem. Are we? Futurama podcast.
Trademark. License. Copyright.
Don't say those words.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Scary.
Yeah?
What was that from?
Oh, I'm just trying something new.
Yeah,
I like you trying new things.
We've got like 500 of these to do.
Welcome everybody to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, that Futurama podcast where we look at everything from Bender to
Beeswax.
Zoidberg.
Oh, there we go.
Got there in the end.
Saved me because
Didn't start in the A, but
Beeswax
that's fine.
got nothing to do with anything.
So we don't do the A. We just go from B to Z.
What? I should have said from Amy to Zoidberg.
Yeah, from Amy to Zoidberg.
Yeah. That's actually. Can we start?
Yeah.
Welcome to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, where we look at everything Futurama related from Amy to Zoidberg.
That's really witty.
Nailed it.
Full of wit.
I'm not going to edit anything else. So we are up to Season 2, Episode 13, Bender Gets Made.
I'm Phil, by the way.
Yeah. I'm switching everything.
Okay.
We'll do that at the end.
Who wins this episode?
Who
Do the voice straight away.
Do the voice, yeah.
Yes, so he is actually correct. This man to my right, which is your right ear, it won't be in stereo, but that's fine, is Phil.
Yeah.
To my left, if you just look slightly to your left in your mind's eye, you'll see James.
Hello.
And the one staring ahead of you, I don't know why you didn't see him.
Alternatively.
He's talking right at you.
Yeah, is Sean. And we will be your hosts for this evening, or morning, or afternoon.
Or
Any time of day.
whatever you're listening to.
Or if you're asleep right now, if you're sleeping with us, this is subconsciously coming to you.
Yeah, and thanks for leaving our podcast on overnight. We
Thank
need
you.
to listen.
If you can do it every night, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Director, we have Peter Avancino, this is the 5th time he's directed. He's back from Xmas Story, and he has the most credits to his name. And he is coming back with A Flight to Remember. Eric Horsted, what was that little...
Just slow down.
No, I don't want to.
Slow down.
I'm getting through
He's got energy.
Getting through. I got to
There's
maintain
energy
this.
and there's light speed.
Got to
Oh my
maintain
Lord.
this because we've got the team from A Flight to Remember together, which is Peter Avancino, the director, and Eric Horsted,
Oh my
the writer.
God. Is that a good episode? I can't remember.
Flight to Remember.
Yeah, it's the Titanic one.
It's enjoyable but flawed because they try and pump so many stories into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
got, like-
that doesn't happen in this episode so much.
No.
Yeah,
No,
which is
it's
good.
quite streamlined in terms of
No.
plots and stuff. So.
You can't stop me today.
Oh, I
I'm gonna
won't.
be all over it.
I won't stop you.
Because the air date is April 30. I'm probably annoying so many people that are listening right now. That's fine. Air date, April 30,
I'm just trying to keep up with you. mate.
2000.
And
And
nothing.
We'll see what happens when I leave a gap.
Yes.
When I leave a gap, it just gets...
There goes our energy.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
All right.
It's all gone. All right,
Go,
let's
go,
bring it
go,
up.
go,
We're
go,
going
go, go.
So sorry, guys. So in this particular episode, we get to finally introduce the robot mafia.
They've never appeared before.
No.
well, I guess the first time if they had appeared before, I would have remembered clamps.
Sure. And
Yeah.
we've been anticipating clamps.
I think
for a
there's one
Yeah.
time where we said, yeah, Clamps is coming next episode. Didn't come in that
Wasn't
episode.
there at all. Don wasn't in any of that.
No, Donbot, Clamps, and Joey Mousepad.
Joey Mousepad.
Which is basically the 3 members of the mafia from The Simpsons.
Who were
Yeah.
kind of good
Fat Tony, Louie, and Legs.
Who were kind of good fellas, right?
Yeah. Do we want to run down the plot?
Okay, I will handle plot. Okay, so Fry, Leela, and Bender go to a live show, like one of those live cooking shows they used to have, popularized in the 90s and early 2000s.
I feel
Yeah,
like it's
like,
almost like a post-millennium thing. Like they seem to pop up for any
Naked
Australian.
Chef.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't really do it anymore because
Nigella.
now these days we have a lot of people interactions, people cooking, not the actual chef.
Yeah,
What was the one
TV.
that we used to have? You would be either voting with a tomato or a capsicum in the
Can't
audience.
cook, won't cook? Is it can't cook, won't cook?
No,
The one
was
where-
that Ready Steady Cook?
Ready, steady,
Ready, Steady,
Steady
Cook.
I
Cook.
think
Yes.
there's an American version of that as well.
Probably
Or an English version of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that
we
was
wouldn't have made
awful.
that on our
I
own.
think the English version is called can't cook, won't cook.
Okay.
We had an Australian comedian as our... so we had Leno from Leno and Woodley
Yeah.
as the host. Just didn't need to be there.
No.
I don't know. It's one of those weird choices.
We had Ainsley Harriott, who's that ridiculously over-the-top fella he's a presenter on British TV.
Bald.
Bald, tall, white teeth.
Yes.
like super smiley guy.
I watched it.
Yeah, and he's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like he's really happy to have the job, and I'm sure he is.
I think he wakes up with a Richter's grin on his face every day. I think he's maybe got into Joker's happy gas or something.
I did love what's the big one?
We haven't done the rest of the plot yet.
No, I need to get through this first. What's the one where it had like the proper storyline to it? And
What, MasterChef?
it is Master, because I'm thinking MasterChef is what we have in Australia, which is the reality TV show. What's
Iron Chef?
Iron
Chef,
Chef.
yes.
Iron Chef is brilliant because it has a storyline attached to it.
Yeah, and it has characters, right? So
I know,
you've got-
I love it.
yeah.
And the American version, the host, he says that he's the nephew of the original Iron Chef. They're all awful. I don't enjoy them. Sorry, continue.
Okay, I'll continue. They go to a live cooking show.
Hate it.
Bender's pretty loud. He ends up causing Elzar to squeeze a spice weasel into Leela's eye, causing her to go blind. Elzar's like, I'll make up for this. Look, come to dinner. It'll be okay. He charges them for the dinner. Bender ends up
He
working.
gave them complimentary.
Yeah, complimentary after dinner mints.
Yeah.
They were mints, yes.
Chocolates.
Okay, then Bender goes to work for him, meets the Robot Mafia, goes to work for the Robot Mafia, and they end up having to rob the Planet Express ship.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh my god, what will he do?
What will he do? Make gun noises.
Yes.
Is what he does.
So yeah, guys, what do we think?
For me, it's a very memorable episode because of the Robot Mafia. I do like Mafia parodies in The Simpsons. There's a lot of them, but I kind of love when they play on the Mafia because I do love gangster flicks.
It's a character episode, not a gags
Yeah,
episode. I didn't
yeah.
write a lot of like, oh, that was a funny moment. That was a funny moment.
No.
But it's got really good explorations of the characters and introductions of them.
A memorable introduction. How long have we been anticipating the Robot Mafia now? I feel like a season.
Yeah,
I feel like they came in a lot earlier than they actually did, but they're a much later invention.
Yeah.
It's got some nice kind of mafia gags as well. So the guy who can't play his lone, they shoot him up.
Yeah,
And that's a warning.
yeah.
Running back to the dinner that happened. So my favorite bit about this episode is why that was created, which was it was actually based off of a real life situation. They talked about, so one of the writers on Futurama was saying how that had happened to a Simpsons writer where he and a bunch of Hollywood mates, they went out to dinner. One of the chefs there or whatever had done something bad and invited them over, and the exact thing happened where they thought it was complimentary, and he came over with a $3,500 bill.
Oh my god.
American.
Wow.
So that's what? That's like a $5,000 bill
Yeah.
for a dozen of us going to dinner thinking it's free.
Look, it's if someone does something to you and says, "Look, come to dinner," that is
And then you
I'm
don't get to
cooking dinner.
choose.
Yeah,
And you don't get to choose, right? They're like, oh, I
Yeah.
just cooked you custom food. You don't
Yeah.
get to decide what you're having and
Yeah.
then charge you for it. That's illegal.
That's an amazing concept for a restaurant. Is you come in, you don't know what I'm going to give you, whatever it is, you better pay
But
for
you're
it.
going to pay for it.
It was a very rich restaurant.
Yeah, it has to be for really rich people who
Yeah,
don't care
yeah,
how much
yeah.
they spend.
It'd be like
As someone who works in hospitality, people constantly spend more money than I earn in a week on dinner, which is super depressing.
Okay, so I'm going to reveal something to you now.
Yeah.
Myself and Techie Tom, we went to go see a theatre show and it got cancelled, so we didn't get to go see it.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
thought,
was that the Simpsons, Mr. Burns?
yeah,
one?
The Simpsons,
Yeah,
Mr. Burns, which we didn't get to see it because
Oh, really?
one of the actors on the night, and
Died.
she ended up going to the hospital.
Oh, shit, sorry.
No, I'm pretty sure she's good. They're
Okay,
heading
good.
off to Sydney. And that's why I sent you the messages being like, hey, you're working tonight because I saw you. And so we thought, yeah, maybe we'll go in and see Phil. So we go in there and we sit down and we just missed you. You went out the back. And then we
Oh,
start looking at the list. Oh, God, those prices.
For food or...
For drinks, like just some of those.
How high end are we talking?
I saw one for about 100.
Oh my
for
god!
what, bottles of wine? Or
I think a bottle. I think the ciders seem to go up to 50.
No.
Some of the ciders were $10 and $15, but some were quite.
some of the biggest, the high price ciders are larger, so
Yeah.
that's okay. But you can get a beer for like $9. You can get a glass of wine for $9 or $10. It's not like if you're just going for single drinks, it can be okay. But yeah, it goes up there. There's bottles of wine at $350. There's a Cristal Magnum. It's $18.78.
And we felt really bad, and we just kind of
Star? That's...
we just kind of left before we actually. There was a point where we were looking, and she came. One of the waiters came over and said, "You know, are you ready?" Well, no, we're just looking a bit more. The more we looked, the more we realized it kind of above our pay grade.
You'd be all right as well. I mean, I'd encourage you to go back there because if
we
you get
waited-
a standard spirit and mix, it's like standard price.
We
It's
waited
$8 or
until
$9.
none of the waiters were looking, and then we just left.
That
So
is funny because
classy.
you've talked about the place before, and you've said like all the drunk people come in, they start looking at the prices, then
and then
just
they leave.
leave.
Yeah, it
We
does
weren't
happen.
even drunk.
It does happen. Yeah, just get a standard spirit. You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
This is completely irrelevant to absolutely anything.
Okay, back to Futurama, guys.
Yeah, we're continuing with the thing they've set up before with Bender and his fanboying of Elsa.
Yeah.
He just turns into like a giddy schoolchild around Elsa.
It's lovely Bender.
And he does it.
Yeah.
He, like
Annoying lovely Bender, but lovely
Yeah,
Bender.
I love it when he has an obsession like Calculon as well. He doesn't understand personal space.
Yeah, he'll just grab people.
Yeah, or
and,
like when he's like inside like our Calculon shower in a later episode. It's like,
Yeah.
are you gonna kill me? No.
Bender's kind of half lovely, half creepy hug noise. It's like half sensual, half really lovely. It's like, what are you feeling right now? Bender's also... He can't taste, can he?
No,
But he
he
can
can't.
taste flame? What was he eating?
sterno flambés or whatever it was.
I think like maybe that's like
Niçoise.
it's some kind of maybe it's something that's really good for his system, for his gears,
So it
or
feels
for his
good,
mechanism.
yeah.
So like it gets him going. Like he can move more fluently.
Well,
kind of
as he says, the secret for good cooking is to get a high quality oil and then
And then
eat
eat
it.
it.
It's that simple.
For the first time ever, I was kind of attracted to Fry. I loved what he was wearing to the dinner.
Oh yeah, he has a lovely jacket on, doesn't he?
like
Yeah,
those I was just like, oh.
they're all dressed quite nice.
If-
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, Zoidberg has a suit.
Yes.
So, was he given it?
I don't know. Yeah,
Probably,
where's he got
surely,
it from?
yeah.
Yeah, because they rip on his poverty a lot in this
Oh, they
episode.
do.
We have firmly established Zoidberg has no
He's-
money.
He's very sad in this episode.
Oh,
like,
he's so sad.
it's like, you're paying for that, and he cries. But like, I love it when like the doctor gives him the pills, and he's like, I'm coming down. And I was like,
Every
oh.
Zoidberg moment here, nothing is wasted. It's just
No,
great
no, it is
Zoidberg
great.
moments.
It's one of my favorite lines in the episode. He's lost more patience than this guy's treated.
I've lost more patience. What is that? I've lost more patience than you've worked on, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And the Taco Bell dog doctor.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's the Taco
Bellevue Hospital.
Yeah.
That just reminds me, like, if anyone's seen, this is a little off topic, has anyone seen Demolition Man?
Yes,
Is that
I
with-
love that film so much.
With
Sylvester Stallone
and
and
in-
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, and in
Yeah.
the future, Taco Bell is the only restaurant to survive the franchise
restaurant-
wars.
the franchise wars,
Yeah, the
yeah.
franchise wars.
Sure.
Yeah, except in England, it's Pizza Hut.
Oh, did they change it?
Yeah, well, they don't
Really?
They say it. They dub Taco Bell for Pizza Hut, but they don't change any of the signs.
I'm sure I haven't seen that
Yeah, okay,
version
yeah, but,
because I watched it in the UK and it
Yeah,
was
it's
Taco Bell.
strange, and yeah, every time I was like, Taco Bell still survives in Futurama and in Demolition Man.
That'd be great if we're having this conversation. You're saying, no, it's Pizza Hut.
yeah,
Yeah,
No, it's Pizza Hut, guys.
Yeah,
Guys,
yeah.
I've watched the film. Yeah, what's some of our favorite moments?
Clack.
Zoidberg. So Zoidberg takes some pills. I don't know what the doctor gave him.
Just some downers. Like,
Really, year 3000 morphine, or I mean, I've had
some
morphine,
mood
guys, and
stabilizers or something. Yeah.
morphine is good stuff.
His
his
pupils
pupils
instantly
dilate.
dilate, and he's just like zones out. And the blind Leela needs to help him out of the hospital.
yeah, it's like thanks for helping me, Lena.
This is, to me, is the funniest Leela can be, when she's so annoyingly steadfast in her abilities.
Yeah,
and she's completely incompetent.
And she just will not take help from anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Fry gets to shine. He's like
Yeah.
shooting the laser cannon while piloting the ship and avoiding missiles.
Yeah.
He's really competent.
And Fry designed that himself quite quickly.
Yeah.
He assessed the situation, found the things he needed to make it happen, constructed that, and then executed it
I know.
perfectly.
He's a bit of a savant sometimes, isn't he, Fry?
He's only like he's really good at like improvisation. Only when it's down to him alone.
and
it-
so no
it's-
one knows.
Yeah, so no one knows
Yeah.
it's actually good.
And it's kind of video game related,
Yes,
because it is
yes.
still firing and
Yeah.
sci-fi. And,
Yes,
yeah.
he knows sci-fi. He knows what to do in that situation.
See, look, I'm on Team Fry this week. You're not
Yeah,
a
for
dick.
sure.
You're dressing well, and you're competent.
Yeah,
I'm on Team Clamps, but
Team Clamp.
Team
yeah.
Clamps.
Yeah.
when they're coming up for a nickname for Bender.
So how about
What do
we
we
call
what
him
do we call him? Clamps.
But what is it? I think I wrote it down. I was like, Clamps. That's my name, you numbskull.
They just keep bringing it
There's a
up.
lot of clamp related jokes. They
Yeah.
get a lot of mileage from clamps.
I feel like in the writers' room, they're probably like, "This is funny. Let's just see how far we can take it."
There's good designs in the Robot Mafia as well. So he's got a little scar
Yeah, he
on
does.
his face
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like
That's right,
rivet
yeah.
marks, little like stitches.
Yeah, they are good.
It's a really nice touch, I think, to the design. And we get Tiny Tim back as well.
Yeah.
With Tiny Tim, I just realized some sadistic scientist designed him to be that way.
Yeah, because he's got one leg
gave him a
short
short leg, gave him a crutch. Just poor Tinny Tim.
Yeah, but like it's like every robot was designed for a use. His use was
Apparently in this...
It was like technically it's be cute and spell backwards letters.
Yeah.
But really
and
it's
make oil aid.
and make all that, but it's probably like pity, getting pity money.
I feel like
right.
totally designed by Mum. Mum's
Mum,
like,
just
we
didn't care.
need a shitty little pity robot.
Yeah, they're raking some good money, I reckon.
5 cents per lemonade.
Well, we don't know the strength of the dollar in the future.
Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you could work it out if you looked back at Fry. He
Yeah,
accumulated
you could probably,
money.
Yeah, you could probably work out the dollar value.
I think they are, because remember, these writers all have PhDs and they're all intelligent people. They said they worked it out and it's accurate.
Okay.
I think they put like a percentage of interest on it and then just worked out 1,000 years worth, and that's how you got the $4 billion or whatever he ended up having. It's accurate. They're nothing if not accurate.
Yeah, and there's lots of technical science-based jokes in the background of a lot of the episodes as well that they like to be accurate about. I really like just the one-liner of "Holy zombie Jesus,"
Yeah,
which is back from the deep south.
Yeah.
I think they phase it out eventually because I think
It offends people.
the censors don't really like it.
I feel like maybe like it would be nice if they kept
That's
using.
right. So it was censored on Cartoon Network and TBS, but not Fox and Comedy Central.
Okay.
Right, okay.
So certain networks are like, no.
You can't say "Holy zombie Jesus." Oh.
That zombie Jesus doesn't exist.
No, but maybe they were foreshadowing. Like eventually he was gonna come back, like an evil Santa Claus, zombie Jesus.
They were going to have it in an episode.
Yeah.
Season 7.
Yeah, season 7, zombie Jesus.
Oh, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I do not remember. Probably
Oh,
that.
probably that.
Oh, like there's like little jokes. I like Hermes is talking about all the jerked stuff on the plate. It's like, is there anything this guy? Also, is there any meat this guy can't jerk? Yeah.
I was kind of hoping part of Hermes' meal was going to be something potato based because he's a giant potato man.
Giant space. It was a giant space potato man. Yeah.
So there's a deleted scene in this episode as well, which rectified something that it implemented an idea that I thought would have been so interesting and could have been another forward-thinking plan. So at the end of the episode, when Bender decides he's no longer going to be with the mafia, Tinny Tin comes up and says, "Oh, what did he say?" It's like, "Here's your
cut.
Here's
from
your
the
cut,"
heist.
or whatever. Bender says he's out, and he opens up his door and he scratches off his serial number because he's like, "They're not going to find me anymore, so I'm going to scratch away my serial number." And the serial number is Flexo's, because Flexo shows his serial number in the past episode. So what that reveals is that this whole time, Bender was the one that was arrested, and Flexo got himself out of jail. So that they did actually make the switch, and that was going to be something that they would run with. But then they left it on the cutting room floor.
So there was a switcheroo. So our Bender is
In the
actually
deleted
Flexo.
scene is so in the episode when Flexo got arrested, that was actually Bender. And the person we've had for the past however many episodes
since.
Yeah, so potentially later then they would have had a Bender comes back, and then you would have just had to go back and maybe there would have been these little kernels of, that wasn't quite Benderish what happened, was
that
it?
would have been quite clever,
I thought that would have been such an
nice.
interesting...
I like that.
If I was going to change anything about the episode, I would have kept that scene in. That would have been so interesting to run with for a season, because we know that they do work well in terms of long-standing plots and overarching ideas. I thought that would have been really interesting.
A little thing I liked there's one of Bender's lines where it's like, "I've always wanted to be a gangster." Obviously, that's a quote from Goodfellas. Like, I don't know, like maybe did they parody enough mafia stuff? And I feel like
I don't think, they didn't parody a film in particular.
Yeah.
I feel like it just seemed to be more just
General
the
mafia.
idea of gangsters in general.
Yeah.
And, Little Italy and the music
Little
stings
Bitterly.
and
Little Bitterly.
Little Bitterly, which had the masked unit in the background, so he didn't die.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
really?
Masked unit's still
Okay.
alive.
That's good. Very observant today.
Yeah,
Sean.
Oh, that's the other thing I noticed is that so when Bender's feeding the robot mafia and he talks about, I like to start with a high quality oil and then eat it. They're all wearing singlets because obviously that's what robot Italian mafia do underneath their clothing, but they don't usually wear clothing.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they
they went out of their way to put the singlets on.
Yeah. He wears like a dope coat over his shoulders.
Yeah.
The Don
yeah,
does.
like a
And-
Don coat.
Yeah, it's really nice. And like he has a walking stick. Like a cane. He's a
Yeah,
cane.
yeah,
a cane.
yeah.
Cane. Good, it has a walking stick. It's a cane. Yeah, like a pimp cane. I like the king voice.
Yeah.
The Bender has an alternative
Hello, old
voice.
sport.
Yeah.
Another use for Bender's insides.
Insides, yeah.
And it's like, I'll go check on him, Old Spice.
He's running out of adjectives to use.
No, that is good. I do like that, the whole setup.
And his shooty noises.
Yeah. I like the cutaways where it's like cuts back to the mob boss. He doesn't even notice, or it's like even when he's spitting out all that oil, it's like cut away to the
And he comes
ship,
back
and he
to
comes
him.
back. It's like in that whole ship sequence. It's like there are a few cutaways back and forth of nothing. I feel like a comedy joke, nothing comedy joke.
Yeah.
There's also a nice little animator's joke, which is when the police are undercover and they've got the newspapers in front of their face. The newspaper just says non-police news. And they're in casual clothes except for their helmets, which are still their police helmets.
Yeah, which is super obvious.
I like
Commencing undercover operation now.
Oh, yeah.
Baby.
Does he smell good? Better than you.
Oh, that's right. No, does he spell better than me? Oh, yeah.
I like how they're everywhere. Like
They're the
Just
only
those
two
two
cops.
yeah. I'm gonna go with the theory that maybe he's a clone and that robot's everywhere.
But then Smitty's still just the only human coppins with every...
Yeah, that is true.
He just has a billion partners.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
Because they also come onto the wherever the Miss Universe pageant was, so they're not just stationed on Earth.
Yeah,
They're around.
everywhere.
Yeah, secretly they're undercover, like trying to see what Planet Express is up to. So they just happen to be around everyone all the time.
Have you noticed? Did you notice that the secret file that he has to drop off for the illegal lottery is a 3.5-inch floppy disk?
Yeah, I know, yeah. It was just a test. It's
a
okay.
test.
Nah, bring back floppies. It's all right.
They're great.
Yeah.
Nostalgia. It's
You
brilliant.
think how much a floppy could hold now. If you make it into like
an
actual
SD card,
an SD
right,
card,
density,
how
yeah.
big a floppy would hold?
Too much. Too much data.
Much, yeah.
Oh, Catcast.
Catcast.
I really hope that picked that up. Because you are beautiful, aren't you?
I hope that makes it in.
Things we didn't like.
I think there's just some dead spots in the episode.
Yeah.
We're just there's not laughs. There's just plot happening, which is a bit of a shit gripe. But
I mean, that's fine. We can nitpick. Nitpicking's what we do.
it's sort of the middle third, I guess, where I feel like it just sort of air goes out of it a little bit.
I would have liked a bit more Mafia.
I didn't like the spit take gag.
It feels very Family Guy.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. What I hate is when Futurama tries the jokes that go on for too long, sort of thing, like the Peter Griffin holding his knee and
Yeah.
whenever Futurama comes at it, it just comes off as really disingenuous.
It's not in their style.
No.
Their style is more about wit and visual gags than kind of like awkwardness.
Awkward humor, and it just kind of drops the pace. And
Yeah, I
you really
felt like-
notice it when Futurama has a slow pace.
I also really felt like it was an obvious to the commercial break gag.
Yeah.
After that, you're immediately going to get the... And I had to think about this. You know, in episode with the Decapodians, Zoidberg's Home Planet, Why Must I Be a
Crustacean
Crustacean
in
in Love?
Emmy award-winning Crustacean in Love.
Indeed. There's a bit where Fry goes... and zooms in on him. I'm pretty sure that's the commercial break.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And that's like it's parodying the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work when you watch it on DVD. You just get a black screen and it starts again. And I feel like it's a little bit of that there. That joke works a little bit better when you're going to commercial.
I think
for
part
some
of it,
reason.
Part of it's also is that for that brief second where it cuts to commercial, we realize that we just have to enjoy each other's company for a few brief seconds before going back into the episode.
It's hell.
We're
It's
not
hell.
comfortable enough
But it's like
in each other as a group.
But like using the cliffhanger is something that was so prominent in a time where you wouldn't watch something again. A lot of TVs, like not necessarily the 90s, but definitely in like the 60s and 70s and 80s, they were like disposable shows where it's like it's the cliffhanger and no one's really gonna sit down and watch this on tape again.
Yeah.
It's like you watch it once and you kind of move on. That's kind of the lingering. Futurama using it in the 2000s is kind of lingering off it. We don't really see cliffhangers these days like in that same way.
In animation, no.
Yeah.
Come back after the break to
Yeah.
find out. Yeah, we don't do
Or
so
it's
much.
like,
of that.
oh, they're going to die. Find out next time.
Yeah.
They still do it a little bit at the end of episodes. To
Yeah,
kind of
there's
hook
a
you
little bit of
through.
cliffhanger, but it's never that obvious. That draw in, that push in, that that reaction.
Yeah, it's not highlighted in that way. Yeah.
Is there a animation comedy out there that has overarching stories? So ones that aren't just episode by episode, but that follow...
I feel like American Dad does a little bit of it.
American Dad a little bit. Rick and Morty, I guess, to an extent.
Rick and Morty definitely does.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I reckon Rick and Morty is
I think Adventure Time does a little bit as well.
Yeah, I've seen some in regular show where things arc back, like something will happen and like these people will like survive and then they'll come back again, and that's not necessarily overarching, but it's kind of like a repetition and it's still
There's a particular art to doing it in an episodic show like this, where every episode has to have its own self-contained story and gags and jokes, but then you, as a viewer, you don't know what things are being plotted and threaded through for later, and then it's only when they come up later down the line and you make a full storyline of it, you're like, oh right, that's been threaded through early on. And I don't know, I guess when do you
Well, you deserved that cat, didn't you?
when in the writer's room do you start looking at those sort of things? That's what I find most interesting.
Well, Futurama was like right from the beginning.
Yeah. Futurama had been plotted through. I mean, take something like Breaking Bad, for example. You've both watched Breaking Bad all the way through. So at the end of season 5, second to last season, there's the
spoilers.
Bit where I'll do this without spoiling too much. Walter opens the back of his car and there's a whole bunch of guns in there, and he brings it out, and that's just a stinger that doesn't get mentioned again in the episode. So it's meant to be, this happens in the future because he looks different, blah blah blah, and then that gets explained in the final episode of the entire series. So we come back to that. Whereas when they wrote that and when they shot it, they had no idea what it meant at the time. So the writers
hadn't got there yet.
Yeah, they deliberately wrote themselves into a corner. They went, okay, we have this idea for a shot, put it in, and that will force us to figure out what that means later on.
Right.
So we just know that we need to somehow get him from where he is now to a season later to that moment.
That's
where
like
he's miles away with guns. Yeah,
it's a risk.
It's
Imagine
really
if
good. It's
Futurama did that.
Like writing yourself into a hole on purpose.
Yeah.
to enhance your creativity.
It does make me think, what if they had no idea what Nibbler was meant to mean, but they just thought, okay, let's just pop him there because we like this design and we want him to mean something later.
They want something to be there at that moment.
So I thought about that, and then there's just an episode down the track where they go, that's why we're using him. Because Nibbler doesn't pop up. Is Nibbler in this? Yeah, he takes Leela for a walk.
That's right. And his eye is the pump.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fuel pump.
I think it's a good thing about Nibbler, he's always there.
Yeah.
So it's like,
there are some episodes where he's not.
He's often running around in the background.
Yeah. He's always at Planet Express, ready to go.
I just like that idea of being that confident in your show that you know if you go 3 seasons later, this thing's going to pay off.
Yeah.
But for now, that'd be a dream to think about writing a show. If I was a writer on a show, that would be a dream to work with. Planting seeds now and just having this overarching narrative that's going to pay off dividends.
And then realistically, it's
later.
like, oh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Just screaming internally. That's the realistic side.
Breaking Bad's obviously it's a different kind of TV show. They did it amazingly well in a couple of their seasons. Like there's a season where they have every beginning of the episode is like a slice from the
plane?
From the plane.
Yeah.
And then that all happens at the very end. And even the title of the episodes spell out air traffic control call about the plane.
Yeah, right.
As well. So it's already all threaded in there. And I don't think Futurama's working at that level.
That level,
They do, but they're working on a higher level in that you have the ambulance has the alien writing on it, right? And presumably that's like just a clue for the fans of like, here's some of the letters, right? So it says ambulance in English and it says the rest has the alien writing on it as well. It's like here's a piece of the cipher.
You're rewarding keen eyes.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
I love as well, is that you just leave these little Easter eggs that you don't really need to comment on, and if a fan cares enough to look it up, they just get a little extra about it.
Yeah, and
it's the Easter eggs within the show.
And if anyone like they have to wait for the DVD or hope someone was recording it when it aired and enough to get it and pause it.
Was TiVo a thing back then?
Was TiVo in early 2000s?
As our resident American. Wait, sorry. Well, I reckon back in the year 2000, TiVo was in its infancy. So
I think we would have had a proto version.
2004, I think, is a TiVo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can record things. I mean, it's not as easy, right?
Yeah. We have to go back into just watch some American TV because I remember there was like, oh yeah, just record it on TiVo later.
Yeah.
Is TiVo a thing now? Like,
sure,
TiVo's a brand, I know. It's one of those things that becomes synonymous with.
Now it's integrated into your cable service, right? So if you have a box that does cable TV, it'll do saving programs that you want to save.
Yeah. But the actual TiVo company, is that just like
probably gone?
Probably gone.
Well, because it's one of those things where the brand is synonymous with what it is.
Yeah.
Like Hoover, but not
Hoover. Yeah.
Stuff we didn't like. I've said stuff. You say stuff.
I've talked about mine. Mine's literally just what they omitted from. I really wish that they put that scene in. That's one of my main ones.
I just wanted a bit more mafia stuff. I like.
You're just addicted to mafia stuff.
I like mafia stuff.
Do you want us to watch a mafia movie
film?
after this?
Yeah.
Do you want to go on the couch and we'll watch
Yeah,
Goodfellas
yeah.
2?
Goodfellas or something?
Goodfellas, Sexy Beast,
Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, all good. Let's do it.
Jack and Jill.
You know, I really love a gangster movie.
No. Well, I haven't seen it. It could be.
It could be. Yeah, it could involve a
Ridiculous
mafia
6. How do you feel
storyline.
about a Western? Ridiculous 6.
I love a Western, but not Ridiculous 6. Yeah. On topic of gangster movies, we see heaps of American gangster parodies, but I never see British gangster parody.
I think I'd say Australian gangster parodies.
No, that's even rarer. But
Yeah.
British gangster films are great, and they always have like a real energy to them. But I never see anyone parody them. It's always Italian mafia.
Well, it's because it's easy.
It's easy. Yeah,
Or
I'll
the
give it that.
Russians, or the Yakuza.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe people just don't make jokes about the mafia because it's dangerous.
I'll give them that. Yeah.
Let's make one now. No.
No. But yeah, even when Snatch and stuff was super popular, there's not so much people ripping into them.
No, but there's a lot of flair in language and the way English gangsters talk. And if you've seen like Sexy Beast or Gangster Number One, there's these gangsters they're not suave or sophisticated. They're like, it's just like hammering.
I like this guy's lack of style.
Yeah, like that.
I reckon what this episode does, it's an enjoyable episode. It's not super memorable in the end, but what it does is it touches on a lot of things that we do enjoy, i.e. gangster movies and the elements of sci-fi, and seeing Fry get to be more in control of himself.
And ripping on Zoidberg.
And Zoidberg, it's brilliant. There's a lot of small little things that are coming together. That this is probably the most off-topic podcast we've had, but it's because it's got a lot of enjoyable elements that we can talk about outside of Futurama.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good Bender story, and right from the beginning, it was Bender's
Let's make guesses on who's coming home.
Because they're about to be in the podcast.
I'm assuming this is going to be Rochella.
Rochella is in the podcast. You're in the podcast now.
It's all right. Go quickly, come on.
Quickly, get in the podcast and get out. Are you whispering? Why are you whispering?
I figured if I'd whisper, everybody else would whisper.
No, unfortunately not.
I'm stage whispering.
Trying to work out if you guys were podcasting.
It's kind of... Yeah, we are.
It's all right.
It's all right. We anticipated this would happen. There's a thing we have called editing.
No, we don't.
No, we
can't-
don't.
we're
It's all
live?
raw. We just put the raw
my
shit
God.
straight
Raw
up.
footage. Just a raw, big wave file.
All the mistakes.
Wav.
Yeah, I know. I did that for you.
Thanks.
Okay.
3.
It's a really Bender focused episode. That's what I like
it's
about it.
very,
right from the
very
beginning,
Bendery.
it's his obsession and excitement with Elzar that causes everything, all these little things to happen.
His idea to work for Elzar. It's
Yeah.
his idea to work for the mafia. Yeah.
Did the mafia get to eat his food? Do we see them eat it?
No.
I was wondering, 'cause-
he brings over the change from the bill.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
no,
cuts
this is
to that point.
when they're in their singlets.
Oh, that.
His just bowl of oil.
Because he drinks it.
I love that car, by the way. It's like a 50s.
Limo,
Yeah,
Limo,
spaceship.
yeah.
what was Fry's like online? It's like there's a really cool spaceship shooting at someone.
Yeah.
It starts hitting the ship.
It's got like wind down windows.
Yeah.
And that's great. I love that shit.
That's the benefit of having like an entirely robot crew.
Right,
You can
yeah.
wind down the windows and have some luxury.
All right, so we have Bender Gets Made versus how Hermes requisitioned his groove back.
I'm gonna go with Hermes requisitions his groove back.
Oh, yeah, but also I want to was there anything else you want to talk about? I really want to mention the professor. Because when we talk about the show is called, the episode is called Bender's Gets Made, right?
Yeah.
Which is a pun because you're going to construct a robot and also get made in the mafia.
Yeah.
So when he has to do his part-time job, the professor's going to replace him with a Frankensteinian giant monster
with a-
death
With
machine.
a heart of a cold heart, or
With a heart as black as coal.
That's
and,
right.
And freeway
and
on ramps for arms.
I really was hoping
Well, if that doesn't work out, give me a call.
I was hoping he'd bring back the chest cannon thing.
Yeah,
because
that'd be
he's
good.
so wanting to put the chest cannon on something.
I was really hoping we would just cut back to him and he'd be working on it
Yeah.
or something.
Even if it's in the background.
Yeah, I really want. Yeah, I love that moment. I really wanted to mention it. So back on track. Hermes.
Yeah, Hermes requisitions his groove back.
It's so fun, that episode.
Yeah,
It's got a song
so
in
fun.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's got a song.
it's great. I'm sorry it wins.
And it's the first time that we got to spend quality time with Hermes. So
We've established we quite like Hermes.
Hermes was a dick in this episode. That's the one thing he did was
He
put
was a dick, but he was very complimentary about the jerky.
But poor Zoidberg.
Yeah, I'm sorry about Jordan.
Leela smashes up the entire building and it gets put onto Zoidberg,
Yeah,
taken out of Zoidberg's
But
paycheck.
Yeah.
It just cries.
Which presumably can't be big to begin with.
Yeah, I assume it's like 1 cent a day or something. Very
Maybe a
minimal.
meal.
And
A meal, yeah.
We establish his credit card gets
Taken away from
taken
him.
away from him.
By the professor, maybe?
I'm very surprised that anyone would give him credit. Like,
I
it just sounds like
I have
a
no
bad
idea
thing.
how that business makes money, to be
Yeah.
honest. They've smashed the roof, and then when they return to the Planet Express, Leela's parked it in the tower.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Was it Planet Hollywood with the Cadillac in the in the building?
Hermes all the way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Music episodes often have that leg up on other episodes.
Hermes gets to maintain his groove for at least the time being. Voices, my friends. I think we need to go.
Clamps or like can we do it in like anyone from the Robot Mafia?
No, I think Phil wants Zoidberg. He was doing the. Let's do anyone. Let's
Anyone?
do anyone from the Robot Mafia.
You're looking at me like I'm going to start.
Okay, I'll try and do Donbot. What's the line? It's like
I like this guy's lack of style.
I like this boy's lack of style. Oh, it's like, look at the brass ball bearings on this guy.
Do you have to do the
Yeah.
fingers and the thumbs?
Yeah,
gotta do the
audience-
Italian fingers and thumbs.
Don't do it without doing that hand gesture.
How you going, guys? For the audience members, you have to place your thumb between two of your fingers.
I think we're
Hey.
all aware of the stereotypical
How you
Italian
doing?
hand gesture.
I'm gonna make them an offer you can.
Put the hands down.
Yep.
Do it again.
Hey, I'm a
No, stop
oh
it.
yeah, see, like my hands want to raise up.
Yeah.
How you doing? I'm a Donbot. Nah, I can't do it.
Your thumb's twitching. Yeah.
My thumbs twitch. It's like your arms. You want to move. You want to move your body with your words.
How do you do clamps?
Clamps.
Yeah. Oh, really? You think I should use these clamps that I use every day at every opportunity? Really? You're a genius, you idiot!
That's pretty good. Yeah. I want to do some clamps too. That's my name, you numbskull!
Beautiful.
Clamps, easy to do. You just ruin your voice and you're wrecking.
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah.
No love for Joey Mousepad.
Hey, yo, Joey, yo. How about
Joey's just a standard tough
Joey.
guy.
How
Hey.
about we name him Clamps?
Clamps?
Clamps.
That's my name!
That's my name.
I do really like his design. So he's got the chain is the mouse.
Yeah, on the pad.
On the pad.
Yeah.
He can open the pad is also his hatch. He
yeah.
opens it at some point and gets stuff out of there, which is pretty cool.
I want to know, who did he take that mouse? What is the story behind that mouse pad? Was it his or was
this
it?
is
I know, I
this
feel
is the
like
Han
families-
Solo prequel movie
I feel
kind of
like
idea
somebody
that we need
killed-
an origin story for everything.
He
Yeah.
was designed to be a mafia bot. That's probably why.
Or was he designed to be a computer?
Maybe.
And it got messed up and it became a mafia.
Mafia bot.
Yeah, who got a virus or something.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I reckon that's going to be all for this week.
Okay.
Sure.
What do
yeah.
we have next week?
Oh, next week we have Mother's Day.
Oh, we just had that.
I know.
Yeah.
That's
in the
wrong.
real world.
In
we
the
did.
real world, I mean, anything we reference in time based because they come out at completely different time that we record them and watch them. So just
Time is not linear here.
it's not at all. No,
I mean, it is linear, just not at the same time that yours is linear.
Yeah.
Just a couple of months further linear down from the linearness.
So in a way, it's not linear.
that is, it's parallel linear.
Oh,
my mind just exploded.
You're welcome.
Bye.
see ya.
I have been Sean. Oh, who remembered this time?
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, does it?
I've been James.
I'm Phil.
Goodbye.
For us.
This is the closest
yeah.
we've been.
Yeah, we're
We're very close.
I was
yeah.
Can you imagine how wacky we could get? I was reading like there from this period to September, the Hollywood, like all the Hollywood major production companies are expecting a $4.25 billion, and now they're only going to make $4 billion.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I think they're expecting a 10% loss due to all their movies being awful.
Big shit.
Man of Steel was an improvement on Superman Returns, but then BVS was not even. It was just Batman Versus.
Yeah, basically.
Batman versus Void.
That's a good
When
one.
are they going to make Ben Him? Why isn't there a Ben Him?
That's such a good. We've borrowed the hatch cover from the Imaginauts ship.
Yeah.
The mattress to damp some sound, and the cats think it's great fun to climb
Cats
over.
fuck.
Broadcast volume.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shut Up and Take My Podcast. I'm your announcer today.
Just send the WAV file over. WAV.
Wav.
It's a wave.
No, Wav.
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 GIF or GIF?
GIF.
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 Yeah.
It's a G. I mean, it's not a cleaning product.
I always
You
feel
don't
like
look
if
a
you
GIF
say
horse
GIF,
in the mouth.
if you say GIF, people know what you're talking about.
Oh my god.
I'm just cruising past that.
Cruising past that. That's usually your style of joke.
I
man.
know. That's why I'm angry.
I love that.
Only I make